Life's a game, the world's a stage, and we are merely role players. Hi, I'm Nat. I am your Goblin Queen, if you will.
Hello, I'm Matt.
Hello, I'm Ellie.
Hello, I'm Strat.
Hi, I'm Helen.
Good. So we now have to, obviously some of these characters come with inbuilt traits and flaws, as we've already discussed. We do need to now decide something you're great at and something you're bad at. So under the great at list is you could be good at lifting and pushing, singing and dancing, sneaking and hiding, listening and spotting, endurance and bravery, or running and jumping.
Linda's is singing and dancing.
Oh, cute.
It felt incongruous with a big beastie, therefore it had to be right.
Great.
I think Gundle would like to be good at running and jumping.
Yes, that makes sense.
As aforementioned, can hover slightly, so can probably jump a bit further over chasms and things than everybody else.
Big legs.
Yeah, big legs also.
The two I was hovering between were endurance and bravery or running and jumping.
I was going to go as a trait endurance and bravery because I figured you've got to be pretty brave as a worm to want to be a knight. But I can change it if that's what you would like.
Or you can have both. You can both have it.
We can both have it, or both Matt and I can have running and jumping.
Yeah.
I think doubling up on either one of those is smart. I think we may well need quite a lot of those.
I think I'll go for endurance and bravery. And I'd quite like a conflicting flaw to go alongside that.
Sure. So we've all settled on our traits. Let's have a look at flaws then. The flaws that it suggests are blunt, forgetful, coward, naive, overconfident, or selfish. But if you have any other thoughts, then I'm also open to you pitching things.
So either naive or forgetful, because I think they pair quite nicely with endurance and bravery.
Yeah.
So I can go rushing in, but then make either poor choices based on naivety or forget what I'm there to do.
Yeah. This feels very pseudonomous as well.
Yeah.
Do you want it?
The why did I come into this room energy hits different in the labyrinth.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's experiencing that.
I was going to go with snob, ordering off menu again, because Gundle is a painter and like a fine artist.
Yeah.
And so could be hindered in either social situations because thinks that the people that he's talking to are below him, or gets distracted by the poor state of decor of the room that he's in, potentially.
I was looking at forgetful as well, but I'm flexible.
I think I'm leaning more towards naive.
No.
Straight out of school, being naive feels right, though. Like you know all of this knightly stuff that you've learned, but don't necessarily know how the world works.
Yes, and it's strong George from Blackadder vibes as well. Yeah, no, I'll go with naive.
Great. So you're going to go with forgetful.
Strat had created this whole thing where what's stolen from me contains all of my memories.
Oof.
I think that is really sad.
It was real sad.
Yeah.
It was really sad. So I'm not 100% fixed on that, but that's where he ran with the forgetful, or maybe that's where he wriggled as a purple worm. What flaw are you thinking?
I was going towards overconfident because I thought being brave and overconfident is a good... But I think rather than overconfident, I would like overlooked. I want people to assume that this worm can't do anything, or just not even notice the worm is there trying to do something and they go off and do something else. So the trait very small is useful for getting through things, but the flip side of that is that you're kind of underestimated or just assumed useless. Dismissed. Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Who thinks a worm could be a knight?
Well, exactly. Something you're fighting against.
Yeah.
And then you're all playing very different denizens from presumably very different parts of the labyrinth, but we're going to start outside the labyrinth. So we need to decide what has brought the group together here. Now, in the film, obviously, Sarah starts outside the labyrinth, coming from the real world, and the Goblin King has stolen her baby brother. So that's why she needs to go in to recover Toby. So the Goblin Queen has stolen something. Now, this could be something from each of you. It could be a Wizard of Oz moment, or it can just be that the group of you has found Linda and discovered your missing book and has rallied together. So I'm open to you each having a thing, or a couple of people having a thing that they're after, and knowing that brings you together as a team, or you all knew each other before and the Goblin Queen has stolen your book. What do we think? Did anyone have any other thoughts about things that the Goblin Queen might have stolen from you?
So my pitch for this was not exactly something stolen, but that Gundle painted some grand frescoes in the Goblin Queen's throne room once upon a time, and has just been informed that they are due to be restored. They've worn away a bit and they need restoration, but that I only have 13 hours to get to the palace to do the restoration myself. Otherwise, she's going to let the goblins do it, and my beautiful frescoes will be ruined.
So you might theoretically be on Goblin Queen's side, or is it just you care more about the art?
I think I was a contractor more than a...
Sure. I
was there to do a job. I'm on the side of the beautiful art in the palace, but not necessarily of the Goblin Queen herself.
Castle, please.
Castle, sorry.
Fair enough. Okay, cool.
I sort of was in the area of my medals or, certificate of completion of night school. Some kind of, achievement item is what's been taken, and as a matter of honour, I need to retrieve it.
You have to make it to the castle for your graduation ceremony, otherwise you don't technically graduate and aren't a knight.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty high stakes.
I don't think I was necessarily thinking anything was taken for me. I think I'm quite literally, I imagine, along for the ride, because helping people on quests is what knights do. So if I want to become a knight, I better be good at that.
Great. Okay. Now, leaving the labyrinth is quite difficult. It's very easy to find yourself at the start of the labyrinth, but to be outside of it entirely is to be on the edges of the Goblin Queen's control. So something needs to have happened for you to be in this position. And this might be the reason why the Book of Memories was stolen. This might be the reason why medals giving you a free pass to the castle for your ceremony was stolen.
So mine was quite simple in that I thought that I was trying to get to a place and a goblin had pointed me entirely in the wrong direction. And yeah, basically I've just really messed up. It's quite dark times for Linda.
I had just been thinking simply, Gundle wanted to paint the labyrinth and therefore needed to be outside it to be able to see it, to paint it. But I like the idea of transgressing in some way. I feel like with my flaw, it's very possible I might have insulted the Goblin Queen's taste in some way.
Honestly, that level of thinking of, no, I should step outside the labyrinth to see it in its true glory, might be dangerous a transgression enough.
Okay. I like it.
And we think that Winkle was along for the ride with Linda to start with, or do you think, or maybe were you swept up with Sir Barold?
Oh, maybe. I mean, it could have just been the wild coincidences that happen all the time in the labyrinth, and I've started on my very slow journey away from the Wormtown, and a knight happens to run past, and I just whip and jump on the knight's head, and have just been sat there, perhaps even unknown, for quite a while.
You take up residence in a crack in the wall in night school.
Yeah,
maybe.
So Sir Barold has no idea at the moment, at present, that the Winkle is along.
Maybe you're just nestled in my hat.
The knight is being used as a steed.
Oh, ironically, yes. The steedless knight becomes the steed.
Incredible. So I'm going to suggest then that Gundle has obviously independently made his. I'm
going to go. I often do a he they for merely roleplayer stuff. I'm going to go a strong he. Just he him for this one.
So Gundle has made his way out of the labyrinth independently. Linda has been misdirected and got lost. And so Barold, you have lost your medals. Do we think maybe there's an authority figure that has, pulled a lever and you've ended up down a rubbish chute and ended up dumped outside, or what do you think?
I think that sounds likely. Maybe I turned up to the pre-ceremony and needed to present my medals on entry and found that they've gone. And maybe it's because rather than Barold committing some sort of transgression, maybe the family has. Because I imagine Barold is part of some kind of aristocracy. So perhaps one of my ancestors offended the Queen, and so mischievous punishment is that my medals have been disappeared, so I can't get in. And so maybe the entry setup is either you hand over your medals and you gain entry, or a lever is pulled and you get trapdoored out.
Great. One thing you would all know, because this is something I find interesting in the Labyrinth film, is that as far as Sarah's concerned, the Goblin King is called the Goblin King, and she never formally mentions his name, and then it's just casually thrown in, like Hoggle says Jareth, and you're supposed to make the connection yourself. It's never said Jareth is the name of the Goblin King. But as Labyrinth denizens, you would all know that the Goblin Queen's name is Maledith. But she's referred to as the Queen or Queen Maledith variously.
It's a bit over familiar to use her name.
Indeed. Generally, we're going to be... I will describe the situation you're in, like a usual TTRPG, and if we end up in a situation where you're trying to do a thing where there might be a risk of failure, then we'll roll a d6. I will set the difficulty. If it's difficulty 1, you don't need to roll. If it's a difficulty 2, it's a piece of cake. Running all the way through to difficulty 6, it's not fair. And obviously 1d6 is quite a terrifying thing to roll with. If you have a trait that will give you a benefit to the thing you're trying to do, you can roll with advantage. You can roll 2d6. And if anyone else helps you and can give a solid reason on how they're helping, like if Winkle is trying to help someone lift something, I'm sorry, I'm not going to allow that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Or if Linda's trying to squeeze through a small hole or help someone else through a small hole, that might not help.
Okay.
But if you can give me a solid reason as to how you can help that person, you can reduce that difficulty by 1, and multiple people can help. So between the 4 of you, you can reduce a difficulty 6 roll down to a 3 because 3 other people can help. There will be some action scenes where we don't roll initiative strictly, but it will be my turn. The group of you has a turn together, and you can go in whatever order and decide what you're doing. And we'll go back and forth. Time in the labyrinth is not straightforward. There are some rooms that will cause you to lose time. You have 13 hours to get to the castle and defeat the Goblin Queen. Otherwise, the items that you're after, the memories, the chance to be a knight, the frescoes, all will be lost. Some encounters will cause you to lose time. There are possibilities to gain time back. Be aware of how much time you have remaining, because time moves faster in the castle at the end. And because we're not playing the full version of this game, there are technically less possibilities for you to lose time before you get to the castle. So what I'm going to say is every time you leave a section of the labyrinth, time will pass by an hour as well.
Okay.
Just to keep those stakes as high as they should be.
Sounds fair.
Makes sense.
Again, I've adapted the exploration mechanic in this as well. So I have selected a few different rooms in each section, and you'll roll a d6 to figure out which ones you're going to do. Compared to usually you'd work your way through like a lot of them, rolling a d6 to see how many rooms ahead you go. But this time I'm going to say I've labelled the rooms 1 to 6, and you roll to see which ones.
Let's do it.
Let's go into the labyrinth.
This has been Labyrinth Untold, a studio production from Merely Roleplayers, starring me, Matt Boothman, as Gundle, Ellie Pitkin as Sir Barold von Branwick, Helen Stratton as Linda, Strat as Winkle, and Natalie Winter as the Goblin Queen. Nat planned this season, I edited and produced this episode, and the theme music is by Alexander Pankhurst. We were playing Jim Henson's Labyrinth The Adventure Game by Ben Milton and Jack Caesar, published by Riverhorse at riverhorse.eu. Merely Roleplayers is a Foggy Outline production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Until next time, if drama be the food of life, play on. Foggy Outline. Undivide your world.